They say it took 5 bullets to the body and 20 stab wounds before Blackbeard finally dropped. But that's not the disturbing part. The disturbing part? He captured over 40 ships and almost never had to fire a shot. Think about that. A man so terrifying that entire crews would literally throw their weapons overboard and beg for mercy the moment they saw his flag. But here's what history books won't tell you. Blackbeard wasn't just a pirate. He was a psychological terrorist who understood fear better than any modern horror movie director. He'd light his own beard on fire. He'd shoot his own men at dinner just to prove a point. He once blockaded an entire city and held it hostage for medicine. Not gold, medicine. And when one crew refused to surrender, he didn't kill them. He did something worse. By the end of this video, you'll understand why sailors would rather drown themselves than be captured by Edward Teach.
Edward Teach wasn't born a monster. He was born in Bristol, England, around 1680, a normal kid. But here's where it gets interesting. He could read. He could write. He was educated. Most pirates were illiterate thugs. Blackbeard? He studied his victims like a scientist. He started as a privateer during Queen Anne's War, which was just legal piracy with a government license. But when the war ended in 1713, that license was revoked. Suddenly, thousands of trained killers had no job, no income, and a ship full of weapons. Edward had a choice: go back to normal life or become something else entirely. He chose violence, but not random violence. Calculated, theatrical, psychological violence designed to make his victims' minds destroy themselves. And he had the perfect teacher, Captain Benjamin Hornigold, the man who taught him that reputation was more valuable than any treasure.
Real quick, if you're already hooked and want more true facts like this, smash that like button and subscribe. Trust me, Blackbeard's story is just the beginning.
1716. Edward Teach meets Benjamin Hornigold and everything changes. Hornigold teaches him the golden rule of piracy. Dead men tell no tales, but terrified men tell everyone. Think about the genius of this. Why fight 40 ships when you can make 39 of them surrender just by showing up? So Edward starts building his persona. First, the name Blackbeard. Simple, memorable, scary. Then the beard itself. He grows it wild, untamed, weaves slow-burning fuses into it. Before battles, he'd light them. His entire head would be wreathed in smoke and sparks. Imagine you're a merchant sailor. You see this emerging from the smoke. You'd think you were looking at the devil himself. But he doesn't stop there. He gets a ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, 40 cannons, 300 tons of terror. And then he commits his first act of pure psychological warfare. He captures a French slave ship, and instead of stealing the cargo, he frees the slaves and recruits them. Why? Because now his crew is loyal in a way money could never buy.
Now here's where Blackbeard becomes truly disturbing. He understood something most pirates didn't. Fear is contagious. In 1717, he captures a merchant ship off Martinique. The crew fights back. Big mistake. He doesn't kill them quickly. He doesn't make it clean. He makes it a performance. He forces the survivors to watch as he slowly tortures one crew member for hours. Then he lets them go. Let that sink in. He releases them. Why? Because those men would sail to every port in the Caribbean telling stories about what Blackbeard does to people who resist. Free advertising, living horror stories, spreading his reputation faster than any wanted poster. But his masterpiece of psychological warfare, the time he shot his own first mate, Israel Hands. They're having dinner. Normal conversation. Blackbeard pulls out 2 pistols under the table, crosses them, and shoots. Hits Hands in the knee, permanently cripples him. When asked why, Blackbeard says, "If I didn't shoot one of you now and then, you'd forget who I am."
May 1718, Charleston, South Carolina. Blackbeard does something insane. He sails into one of the busiest ports in the American colonies with his entire fleet and creates a full naval blockade. 4 ships, 300 pirates, 1 demand. But here's the twist. He doesn't want gold. He doesn't want silver. He wants a medicine chest. That's it. A box of medical supplies. Mercury, laudanum, basic surgical tools. The city is confused. They're ready to give him a fortune in ransom, and he wants medicine? But this is the genius of Blackbeard. He's proving a point. I don't need your money. I have all the money. I need you to know I can take whatever I want. He holds the entire city hostage for a week. Ships can't enter, ships can't leave, trade stops, economy freezes. They give him the medicine chest. He takes it and releases all the prisoners unharmed. The psychological message was perfect. I'm reasonable until I'm not, so don't make me unreasonable. But the Charleston blockade wasn't even his darkest moment. Let me tell you about Blackbeard's games. He once took his crew below deck, sealed all the hatches, and lit pots of burning sulfur. Created his own personal hell. Choking fumes, no air, pure torture. The crew is screaming, clawing at the hatches to escape, and Blackbeard? He's just sitting there, smiling. He outlasts all of them. When they finally break open the hatches, his crew is barely conscious. Blackbeard stands up, breathes deep, and says, "I wanted to see who could make the best hellion." This wasn't about discipline. This was about proving he was inhuman. He also kept his own logbook, not of treasure locations, but of psychological observations. Notes on how different captains reacted under pressure, which threats worked best on which personality types. He literally created a database of human fear responses. Blackbeard was studying PTSD before psychology even existed as a science. Now, let's talk about something historians try to gloss over: Blackbeard's wives. Official records say he married 14 times. 14! But here's the disturbing part. None of them were legal marriages. He'd perform fake ceremonies, convince women he'd married them, and then just leave. But the worst case? A 16-year-old girl in Bath, North Carolina named Mary Ormond. He marries her in 1718. There's a ceremony, witnesses, everything. Then, on their wedding night, he invites 5 of his crew members to join them. When she refuses, he threatens to burn her family's plantation. This wasn't about lust. This was about power. About proving he could take anything, violate any social norm, and face 0 consequences. The local magistrate who performed the ceremony? Turns out Blackbeard was bribing him. He'd bought protection from the very laws meant to stop him. Mary eventually escapes when Blackbeard dies, but she never speaks about those months. Some horrors are too dark to put into words. By November 1718, Blackbeard had made a fatal mistake. He thought he was untouchable. He'd settled in Ocracoke Inlet, North Carolina, under the protection of Governor Charles Eden, who he was paying off. But Virginia's Governor Spotswood had enough. He couldn't legally operate in North Carolina, so he did something unprecedented. He sent Lieutenant Robert Maynard of the Royal Navy on an illegal secret mission into another colony's waters. 2 small sloops, 55 men. No cannons, because they needed to get close. November 21st, 1718. Maynard finds Blackbeard's ship anchored at Ocracoke. But here's the thing. Blackbeard sees them coming. He has all night to prepare. Does he run? No. Does he call for reinforcements? No. He throws a party, gets his crew drunk, because in his mind, he's still invincible. The next morning, hungover and overconfident, Blackbeard makes his final stand, and it becomes the most brutal close-quarters naval battle in pirate history.
November 22nd, 1718, 9 a.m. The battle begins. Blackbeard fires first. His cannons tear into Maynard's lead sloop. 21 of Maynard's men die instantly, blood everywhere. But Maynard doesn't retreat. He does something genius. He orders his remaining men below deck and sails closer like the ship is abandoned. Blackbeard falls for it. He boards Maynard's empty ship with just 14 men. Suddenly, 30 Royal Navy sailors burst from below deck, hand-to-hand combat. Swords, pistols, pure chaos. Blackbeard and Maynard face each other. They both fire pistols simultaneously. Both miss. Swords clash. Blackbeard breaks Maynard's blade in half. He raises his cutlass for the killing blow, and one of Maynard's men slashes Blackbeard's throat from behind. Blood sprays across the deck. But Blackbeard doesn't fall. He spins around, wounded, and keeps fighting. It takes 5 more bullets and 20 more stab ones before the legend finally collapses. Even in death, it took an army to bring him down. When Blackbeard finally falls, Maynard does something that seems barbaric, even for 1718. He cuts off Blackbeard's head, right there on the deck. Then he hangs it from the bowsprit of his ship, the front mast, and sails back to Virginia. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. Legend says Blackbeard's headless body was thrown overboard, and it swam around the ship 7 times before sinking. Now, obviously, that's physically impossible, but the fact that multiple witnesses reported this tells you about Blackbeard's psychological impact. They needed to believe he was supernatural. It was the only way to process the fear he'd created. Maynard arrives in Virginia with the head. It's placed on a pike at the entrance to the Hampton River. It stays there for years, rotting, a warning to every pirate. This is what happens when you terrorize the colonies. But even in death, Blackbeard won because his legend grew. The skull became a tourist attraction. People would sail by just to see it. His fear campaign succeeded even after he was gone.
So what made Blackbeard truly disturbing? It wasn't the violence. Pirates were violent. It was the calculation. He understood that humans fear the unknown more than the known. So he made himself unknowable. He understood that trauma spreads faster than truth. So he traumatized strategically and let survivors spread his legend. He understood that people need simple narratives, so he gave them one, a demon in human form. Modern psychologists studying his methods say he pioneered techniques that wouldn't be formally understood until World War II. Psychological warfare, strategic terror, reputation management. He was 100 years ahead of his time. His reign lasted only 2 years, but in those 2 years, he captured over 40 ships and terrorized the entire Atlantic coast. And here's the final disturbing truth. We don't actually know if Blackbeard was even his real personality. Records show Edward Teach was educated, well-spoken, even charming when he wanted to be. Blackbeard might have been the greatest performance in history, a character so terrifying that the man who played him became lost inside it. And that might be the most disturbing thing of all.
So yeah,
That's why Blackbeard was more disturbing than they told you. The violence was just theater. The real weapon was fear itself. If this kept you watching, do me a solid. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which part messed you up the most. I'll see you on the next one.